Coming up on Newsnight, see why a former United Way director might be facing prison time.
Plus, learn what Pittsburghers are doing to help with hurricane relief.
And we'll check in to see what the weather will be like. All of this and much more coming up on Newsnight. Good evening and welcome back to Newsnight. I'm Royce Jones alongside Brianna McCall. We begin tonight with news from Armstrong County. According to the Trib, the former director of the United Way of Armstrong County could be facing up to 7 years in prison. Heather Marie Wolf of Katanning is facing charges of stealing more than $37,000 from the organization. According to authorities, Wolf fraudulently took funds from the organization without permission. Scott Andrazi, the county's district attorney, says the agency performed an audit, allowing them to determine the stolen amount. Authorities also uncovered that Wolf would frequent casinos in the area using United Way funds to gamble. Andrazi shared his disappointment about the matter in a statement saying, quote, "It is unfortunate that once again we see a nonprofit in our community, an organization that does such good work, victimized by a trusted employee." Wolf faces felony charges of theft by deception, theft by unlawful taking, and receiving stolen property. She was arraigned on Friday and released on a $35,000 bond. Her preliminary hearing has been scheduled for September 20th.
This year's hurricane season has become a nightmare to us all, as the United States has been hit with 3 deadly hurricanes thus far. The southern region of the country has already been hit with Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and followed by Hurricane Jose, ranging from categories 3 to 5. Texas is still trying to recover from the damage that Hurricane Harvey, a category 5, left them with. According to KDKA, charities in the Pittsburgh area are gathering to help victims of Hurricane Harvey down in Texas. Volunteers were sent out last Tuesday to help bring people back to town, along with shipping supplies that could give them a head start on rebuilding homes.
And the start of fall is just right around the corner, and along with it comes a slight chill. Here with more details is Zach Brandner. Zach, what do you have?
Thanks, guys. So the Pittsburgh region experienced some warm but cloudy weather today as we begin fall. If we look here at the forecast, Wednesday we're looking at a high of about 81 degrees, and at night we're going to drop down to about 62. On Thursday we can expect some rain showers to make a return to the area, as we're going to cool down a little bit to about 71 degrees. Now at night we'll expect our lows to drop into the upper 50s with the rain showers beginning to move out. And as we head on into Friday, our temperatures are going to bump back up into the upper 70s under a cloudy sky, and we are going to be experiencing lows that are in the upper 50s at night. And that's it for the weather. Back to you guys in the studio.
When we return, we'll break down the president's decision to end the Dreamer program and learn how Texans are returning to their lives post-Hurricane Harvey.
This and more on the other side of the break.
I shouldn't have to pay to walk down the street. Pay with my comfort, my freedom, my peace. Always on guard, on edge, off limits. Don't follow me, don't touch me, don't treat me like I'm yours. I don't need your whistles, your comments, your eyes. I already know I'm a prize. My confidence isn't for sale. Respect me, don't inspect me.
And when people ask us who can join UView, the answer really is anybody, and we mean anybody. Any major, any experience level. Some people, have a lot of experience coming out of high school, and others don't know how to really sit on a couch properly, and that's okay. We're here just to give you the chance to learn and have fun and prepare yourself for the real world. College, after all, it's all about trying new things.
Welcome back. Just several days after Hurricane Harvey hurtled through Houston, children and their parents are making plans to head back to school. But with an estimated 40,000 students affected by the hurricane and nearly 200 schools canceled and delayed statewide, many are utilizing federal and state laws to make that happen. There are federal protections that require schools to immediately enroll children who have lost their homes. In this case, many of those affected by natural disaster. This allows homeless children to stay at the school they went to before or enroll at a school in the area they are currently staying. And with all transportation costs paid for by one or both of the two school districts. People are using state laws like the Third Choice Law, which allows students to enroll in any school in the state, regardless of their location. However, opposite of the federal law, the state does not require transportation to be provided, something Michael Santos, an attorney with the NLCHP, is urging schools to offer, saying, quote, that falls under the obligation to remove barriers for students attending school. But with the topic of transportation, it can be controversial and even costly. Regardless of the expense, transportation barriers, parents and kids are still ready to get back to the books at all costs, even if that means transferring. Tori Texada, a 25-year-old mother of 5, wants her kids to go back to the school they went to before, but she is willing to explore other options. Texada says, quote, I don't want them missing days of school. If we have to transfer so we can be closer, I hope they don't give me problems. For some, though, these protections have turned out to be what they call a blessing. 5-year-old Michael Hilburn, a homeless boy from Houston, says he can't wait to get back to kindergarten. Thanks to these federal and state laws, Michael will attend a school just 20 miles away from the shelter that he and his dad are staying at. His father can't wait either. He says he wants consistency for his son and for him to be happy and make lots of friends.
In other news, President Trump has announced that he will be calling an end to the DACA program. DACA, or Deferred Action for Children Arrivals, is an Obama-era program that protects children born in America to immigrant parents from deportation. Officials say that these undocumented immigrants will qualify for deportation once Congress takes act. As reported by the New York Times, Trump argues that, quote, those in the country illegally are lawbreakers who hurt native-born Americans by usurping their jobs and pushing down wages, end quote. Mr. Trump has a strong belief that immigrants are the reason that hundreds of Americans are jobless. DACA recipients come together to speak out on how the program has changed their lives in hopes that Trump will change his mind and keep the program that's been ongoing for 5 years.
When we return, a Nigerian startup, a rare developing device that could save lives.
And we'll shine a spotlight on Caribbean islands recovering from the several powerful storms.
And we'll have Meghan Macioce in the studio to bring us up to speed on the latest in sport news. We'll be right back.
You'll ever do. 2 can be as bad as 1. It's the loneliest number since the number 1.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Does not matter if I'm short or tall. If I have skinny legs or my hips are wide. It only matters who I am inside.
Blue eyes, brown eyes, black or green, what makes me most beautiful cannot be seen. When you look at me, Don't judge me by my parts.
The most beautiful thing about me is my heart.
Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. I'm Josh Troop alongside Jess Popichak.
Take a look at the 5-day forecast.
You might have already burned your bracket, ripped it up, or put it through a paper shredder by now.
British Prime Minister Theresa May officially triggered Article 50 on Tuesday.
The World Baseball Classic has concluded with Team USA winning its first title in 4 WBC tournaments.
And that is your news tonight. With Royce Jones, I'm Danis Marrero. Have a great night.
The Caribbean and southeast region of Florida was also hit by Hurricane Irma. Meanwhile, Texas is still recovering from the first storm. With a death toll of 9, the U.S. along with the islands that have been affected by this are left in devastation from these destructive hurricanes that have left thousands stranded. St. Martin, being one of the first to be struck by Irma, has turned from paradise to look like a war zone, victims say. However, rapid evacuation was taken immediately for thousands of travelers and homelands who are stuck on the island. Officials say this will not be something easy to recover from, especially after the damage and floods that have been left behind.
A brand new type of technology is underway, and you'll be completely shocked at what creators say it can do. It's called Kaniku Kori, and it's allegedly able to detect the smell of explosives and, most surprisingly, cancer cells. It's the first of its kind, fusing neurons from mice cells into a silicone chip. Oshi Agabi, the Nigerian startup founder, told CNN, quote, "We merged synthetic neurobiology with the traditional technology with the goal of fixing urgent real-world problems." Agabi lists security as one of those problems, calling it a plague, and hopes that he can one day change the game of airport security, allowing travelers to walk from their car and straight onto the aircraft. Kaniku Kori founder goes on to explain the device, saying, quote, "Explosives have particles and smells coming off the individual, and our device can tell without requiring line of sight or contact. You can scan them at any time or place of your choosing and get into the aircraft and go about your business." Now, all of this sounds pretty great, but what about detecting cancer cells? Agabi compares this to the way a dog can sniff out cancerous cells. He says, quote, "In the same way that a dog is able to detect someone has prostate cancer, the real question we ask is, how does a dog do it? We can clone that process in our chip." Cloning isn't the only effort put into mimicking this process, though. Agabi says the company plans to run the device with biological brains made of synthetic biological neurons. With this declared intention of the company building brains, however, such work spikes the concern of ethicality. When questioned about ethical concerns of creating devices like these, Agabi responded, quote, "I think it's unethical not to deploy any resources we have to fight terrorism. It is the urgent problem we face as a species." According to the founder, the device has already brought in $8 million in revenue since its 2015 creation. The device was unveiled at this year's TED Global Conference in Tanzania.
We turn now to the wide world of sports. To help us make sense of it, we have Meghan Macioce in studio. Meghan?
The NFL kicked off their season Thursday, September 7th in Foxborough between the defending Super Bowl champs, the New England Patriots, and the Kansas City Chiefs. The game was tight in the first half, but after halftime, the Chiefs took it to another level. They would go on to score 21 unanswered points on the Patriots defense, who allowed the fewest amount of points in the 2016 season. The big star of this game was rookie running back Kareem Hunt, who bounced back after his fumble loss in the first quarter to end the game with 246 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Chiefs quarterback Alex Smith had a career game with 368 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The Patriots did have one bright spot, and that was running back Mike Gillies. He recorded only 45 yards but had 3 touchdowns. As for the rest of the NFL teams, they played their season openers Sunday and Monday. But 2 of them did not. Due to Hurricane Irma, the Miami Dolphins and Tampa Bay Buccaneers game is postponed until Week 11 when both teams were scheduled to be on a bye week. As the NFL starts their regular season, the MLB's is coming to a close. With only 3 weeks left of the season, several of the teams are fighting for a postseason spot. In the National League, the three division leaders are the Washington Nationals, Chicago Cubs, and the LA Dodgers, with the Arizona Diamondbacks and Colorado Rockies in the wild card spot. But these spots are not a lock. The Milwaukee Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals are both only 3 games behind the Rockies with less than 20 games left to play. As for the American League, well, that league is even closer. The 3 division leaders are the Boston Red Sox, Cleveland Indians, and Houston Astros, and the 2 wildcard spots are currently being held by the New York Yankees and Minnesota Twins. Now here's where things get interesting. There are 6 teams that are 4 or less games behind both the Yankees and the Twins. Half of those teams are tied in the standings at 71 wins with less than 3 weeks to play for a spot in the playoffs. Even more interesting is all of the remaining teams have at least one series with each other in these final weeks. The AL will be the league to watch the final week of September. From the diamond to the tennis court, the U.S. Open Women's Final made history this past week. In the semifinals, all of the remaining women were from the United States. On Thursday, September 7th, the women took the court to try and advance to the final match. Coco Vandeweghe lost both of her games to Madison Keys, but Venus Williams and Sloane Stephens battled it out until the end. Stephens won the first game easily, but Williams came back to shut her out in the second game. The final game was tight between the two, but Stephens hit a hard backhand to the left side of the court, and it was over for Williams. On Saturday, Stephens and Madison Keys competed for the title, and Stephens easily won both games to claim the trophy. That will do it for sports. Back over to Brianna and Royce at the desk.
Wow, Megan, you really know a lot of your stuff. I'm kind of, Bri, what do you think about our girl Serena Williams? Do you think she'll have something to? Think she'll have some competition? Do you think she'll have to look out when she comes back from her maternity leave here?
I don't know. I mean, you know, she's one of the best. I mean, she's like a different type of talent.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the competition brings to us.
I'd like to see those two battle it out, Serena and Sloane.
That'd
we'll
be
have
a
to
good
see.
game.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's it for this evening. That's all your news tonight. For Brianna McCall, I'm Royce Jones. Have a great night.